What's up there? Let's get this show going. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Derek O'Shea Show. Let's get right into it.
Welcome to the revolution.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Derek Show. Oh, my. See, this is what happens when you do a live show. There we go. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Get in the chat. Tell me how you're doing. How you're feeling this fine evening. Where have I been? Where have I been? I have just been battling with the YouTubes to get my show back on the air because I'm apparently spreading misinformation per usual. But I fought it. I think I won it. And I'm back on the air. So these are all good things, and we're back and we're feeling good about everything. But let's see what MSNBC is currently talking about, their top stories on their website. Because, like I always say, I like to see what people are doing on the left, what's going on the far left side, especially MSNBC. At least they're honest about who they are and not pretending to be somebody they're not, which I always appreciate. Their top stories are Trump call for Putin help, both mind-boggling and completely unsurprising. And Alex Jones, Connecticut judge holds Alex Jones in contempt after failure to show for depositions. So, if your main news source is MSNBC, you're already talking only about Trump, as if that's the only thing in the world going on, which is totally insane. And why it's a problem, it doesn't matter who you are, picking one source of information, one source of content, one personality to listen to, one news agency to listen to. I only watch Fox. I only watch MSNBC. It's important to see what's going on everywhere in the world. Every news site, every news channel, every YouTube personality, content creator, whatever you have to say. It's important to judge their information to see who's more correct, who's more honest, who's more lopsided, who is only talking about this issue and that only. Because, like my site, I try to be as fair and balanced as I possibly can. I like to use all website sources such as BBC, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, Breitbart News, Daily Wire. I'll look at the Young Turks. I'll look at Trevor Noah. I'll look at even the freaking View. And so it's important to have more than one source because, and here's a prime example of why that's important, is that if you only were to use one source such as MSNBC right here, all you would think was going on in the world is Trump and Alex Jones. As if there's not a war going on, there's not inflation going on, there's not more COVID talk being talked about. Will Smith didn't just slap a celebrity in the face over a stupid old G.I. Jane joke, which, good God, find some better material. I'm almost okay with the slap because of how bad the G.I. Jane joke was. But this is why it's important to choose more than one source, because then you only get one side of the coin anyways. And then you might not be like what's going on right this second, which is the Florida bill, which is don't talk about sexuality towards kids in kindergarten to third grade. Kindergarten to third grade, which is not that crazy of an idea. Kindergarten to third grade, don't talk about sexuality, just talk about reading, writing, and arithmetic. Too much homework makes me sick. Bringing back the old school. But this is all they can talk about. So, like Hollywood, tonight we're having a straight night. And we're just going to get down to the straight facts. God, that was stupid. I'm going to hit myself for that later. But let's go down some of the silliness of what's going down in the news regarding this topic, because it's important to talk about as they are pushing a false narrative about it being a don't say gay bill. Again, I talked about this bill 2 3 months ago, before it was even being talked about, because it was just getting on the radar and people were just starting to make noise about this idea of this insane right-wing conservative governor that's going to not allow my LGBTQ child to be able to be free in school, which it has nothing to do with the bill whatsoever. It's that your teachers should be held accountable and teach the children subjects in which they're being told to teach. So if you go into a class and you're supposed to learn about math, that teacher should talk about math. And if a kid says,
Mr. O'Shea, what'd you do this weekend?
I'm not going to say I went out with my husband or whatever. I'm not going to talk about sexuality. You're just going, and I don't have a husband, but you just say, I went and I did this weekend. That's all you have to say. You don't have to talk about sex. And if they ask you, are you married? You can say yes and just leave it at that. This idea of that these are my children, which I have heard constantly from some of these teachers' websites and some of these teachers that are pushing back. How dare, these are my kids, so I get to teach my kids whatever I want. But it's important to hear what these celebrities are talking about as they're talking about the bill. And here's the most incredible person on the world in the Today Show, That's So Raven, talking about the bill, which is just so silly. And then we'll get to one of the worst actors of all time. Let's listen.
I'm going to say this, and this is my thing. If there's a don't say gay bill, there should be a don't.
Which there isn't. Again, this is what happens. This is why creating a truth is more important than narrative, because a narrative is based on emotion, lies, and propaganda. Whereas this, it's not called a don't say gay bill. It's not even in the bill. If you do a search function, you're not going to find don't say gay on it. But this is what they do. You know, they'll create a saying or emotion that captivates their audience to the point where they want to click and listen and hear. But let's continue to listen to this just as so silly clip.
I'm going to say this, and this is my thing. If there's a don't say gay bill, there should be a don't say straight bill.
Oh, burn! Did you hear that? Freaking conservatives, you just got roasted.
Because
my favorite part is when people say stuff like that and they think they are putting out like this incredible, amazing point. That's just such a gotcha moment that people on the right are going to have to stop and pause and think, maybe we were wrong. But let's keep listening.
a straight bill. Because it's not fair, and there are multiple kinds of humans in this world, and you are ruining the psyche, the confidence of so many young children because you are discrediting their parents, the people they love, the people that raise them, the people that teach them the manners when they walk into that schoolroom. So if you're not going to honor their family, your family shouldn't be honored either. So let's just make it even/equal, maybe.
So silly. Again, if the parents want to teach this, that's the point. It's encouraged. The parents should jump on board. In fact, the parents should always be the ones teaching about sex, not some 20-year-old kid straight out with a teaching certificate degree and that doesn't have kids, that it hasn't raised kids. You should teach your own kids these things. Parents need to stop pushing teachers to be their teacher and their parent and which I've seen all my life. Again, I've been in education for a while. I have worked with kids for a while, and constantly parents have pushed them on to teachers or me to say, hey, I don't know what to do with this situation. Help me out. And I can understand that because you're busy, but you're also a parent. And so when you get to this point right now where you have teachers teaching your kids things that you don't want them to teach, whose fault is it really does it go down to? And it goes down to a lot of parents who had just allowed this stuff to progress and be pushed down for generation on generation. And again, if your kid wants to be this way and you're a parent that wants to push this way, great. But does it have to be a class? Does your kindergarten class have to include reading, writing, arithmetic, and sexuality? Absolutely not. But this is what they're pushing. And this is the hill they want to die on. It's such a weird and silly hill to die on. You know, people on the left constantly say, like, the SCOTUS being interviewed. Can you define a woman? I don't know. I'm not a biologist. It's funny that all these teachers all of a sudden are also have a psychology degree as well. Because apparently they know about childhood development and what's right for them in their brains. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that maybe a kindergartner isn't ready for those kind of concepts. In fact, most people aren't even looking at the opposite sex or just sexuality in general until much later on. Not especially in elementary school. Again, this isn't a crazy idea, but this is the hill they want to die on because everything is about sexuality for them. Everything. It's their religion. It's their pillar of faith. They have to have it. Without it, they can't be who they are. And DeSantis, there's nothing in the bill, again, that says you can't be this way or you can't talk to your kids about this. It's that your teachers don't need to have a class on sexuality or teach them about gender studies in kindergarten. And here's another one of the greatest actors of all time, creepy Ron Perlman.
Good morning, Governor DeSantis.
Sorry, and he also curses in this. I love
Good morning, Governor DeSantis.
Good morning, Governor DeSantis.
Ron here. I'm a big tough guy. Tough. Look at my stash.
Here.
This is me. I'm disappointed in you. I'm Ron Perlman.
Don't say gay.
Don't say gay, which isn't in the bill, but we're going to take a narrative and make it fact.
Don't say.
Don't say. You don't say.
As the first two words in a sentence spoken by a political leader of.
A political leader? First sentence spoken by a political leader.
It's almost like these people are actors and they're fabricating their own emotions based on a narrative or agenda that's being pushed or what they're told to say. So weird.
A state in the United States of America don't say.
Don't say?
Don't fucking say, you fucking Nazi pig. Say. First Amendment. Read about it.
So ironic hearing someone in Hollywood talk about First Amendment rights and censorship as if this is a censorship bill and not just a bill of maybe a teacher shouldn't be teaching this. And then we go on to Disney, which, you know, I grew up in the generation where I would constantly hear conservatives, especially Christian conservatives, talk about like people on the left are trying to push their agenda, push their LGBTQ, their gay agenda on my kids. And I would hear that as a kid thinking, that's so dumb. I'm just enjoying my life. I'm just a silly kid. But then they're getting so emboldened right now. Well, they'll just come out and say, this is from Chris Rufo, who's the CRT guy, and according to the left is just a grifter. But, you know, he produces stuff like this. And here's Disney themselves and why people are getting rid of Disney as we speak.
It's like, I love Disney's content. I grew up watching, all of the classics. They have been a huge, informative part of my life. But at the same time, I worked at small studios most of my career, and I'd heard, you hear whispers. I'd heard things like, they won't let you show this at a Disney show. And I'm like, okay. So I was a little sus when I started.
Can we just have a moment together? Any adult that uses the word sus in a non-ironic way is sus. And for those who don't know what sus means, it means suspect. It means a little sketchy. It means a little different, a little weird, a little sketch. You're not allowed to be an adult and use the word sus and then ask to be taken seriously. I don't care who you freaking are. That's sus, bro.
Okay. So I was a little sus when I started. But then my experience was bafflingly the opposite of what I had heard on my little pocket of Proud Family Disney TVA. The showrunners were super welcoming. Meredith Roberts and our leadership over there has been so welcoming to like my like not at all secret gay agenda. And so
Excuse me, what'd you say?
my like not at all secret gay agenda.
Okay. So it's not a secret?
My like not at all secret gay agenda. And so like I feel like I felt like it was, I mean, like maybe it was that way in the past, but I guess like something must have happened in the last like they're turning it around, they're going hard. And then all that like momentum that I felt, like that sense of I don't have to be afraid to like, let's have these two characters kiss, let's in the background this, like I was just wherever I could just basically adding queerness to like
That's another part about Hollywood, Disney, and all these movies being pushed down, is that like they're so quick to add sexuality to where sexuality doesn't even need to be there. It just doesn't. And it's so obvious that you're pushing these like characters on people that have nothing to do with the storyline. It's like what they're doing to Lord of the Rings series or Halo and stuff like. They're just adding people, they're adding characters that have nothing to do with the storyline because it's 2022 and we need to be more inclusive in our videos. Even though it's like, if you want to be more inclusive, then just write more movies as opposed to taking somebody else's ideas and then putting your agenda. It's like you take their ideas and you put it through your agenda meat grinder, and then out pops out crap, and why nobody wants to go to movies anymore, and why nobody wants to watch award shows anymore, because like Best Picture is like such a crappy show, and you're just like, or movie, and you're like, I didn't watch that freaking crap. How does this even work? And then I watch it because I'm like, well, it's Best Picture. I gotta watch it, and then I just don't understand how it wins. And then you go, oh, it's because the agenda hit all the right boxes. That's why that movie won. That's why that show won. Because that's what's more important. It's more important to push your religion on people. It's more important to push your ideology, your way of life on the people, more than entertaining people. That's why when people on the right, people like myself, people who are just like looking at some of this stuff, they're going, this is a religion to these people. This is a way of life to these people. They see it as an opportunity to spread a message. It's much like the same playbook a lot of Christians play, is that you want to teach the truth. You want to teach what you deem as truth. You want to share the Bible. You want to promote it to children and all that kind of stuff. And they hate that stuff. Why? Because it goes against their religion. Their religion, they want to teach art. And that's what it boils down to. That's what this whole Disney, Florida, don't say gay bill, which has nothing to do with don't say gay. The left is, they're winning in politics. They own the corporations. The corporations are all on board of everything they're a part of. That's why they're so quick to say things like Happy Gay Pride Month in America, but then you look at their Twitter account to places like Saudi Arabia and absolutely nothing's on there. They are winning in the college institutions. That's why you have rooms for POC-only students, clubs for POC-only students, safety rooms, as they call them. Constant gender studies, just constantly pressing down their agenda, their religion onto college students. And they also obviously always had Hollywood. They've always had TV for forever. And the one area that they've been working on, they've been struggling with, is kids. They've been, being very subtle in recent times, but now they're pouring it on more than ever. That's why this woman in Disney says, I'm putting my gay agenda everywhere I possibly can, having characters kiss as much as possible. Let's keep listening to this clip.
Do you see anything queer in the show? I'm proud family. But like, I just was like, no one would stop me, and no one was trying to stop me. It's like,
no one was stopping me. No one was trying to stop me. Because why would they? This is the one area they need to do better. And so they want to keep indoctrinating kids at younger and younger ages and keep telling them what they deem is the truth, what they deem is reality, what they deem is their pillar of faith, of the LGBTQ lifestyle. That is a must in order for them to be a part of the left, be a part of their ideology. And so that's why they're freaking out. That's why they're so quick to change the narrative. That's why they're so quick to, they'll be quicker to lie about a bill or create an entire story on the facts because they're worried that they won't win this time. And the more they can push down their agenda on all the generations, all the avenues, it's like the Cultural Revolution. It's like communists, what they do. You know, they take care of the Hollywood. They take care of what's in front of your face. They control the news. They keep the censorship. The businesses all are on the same platform. They're all agreeing to the same narrative. They're all agreeing to what's true. They're all following their Bible. They're all following what they deem is true. And so and then now we have politicians and so now they want to go after kids. And here's DeSantis' response to the whole thing, which I think is just beautiful.
In relation to some of the one of the things I saw yesterday, you know, we signed the Parents' Rights in Education bill. It's interesting when like a Disney-owned ABC would put that out on tweet. They'd say Governor DeSantis signs bill to prohibit instruction in sexual identity and gender identity in some grades. Some grades. Why would they say some grades instead of K through 3? It's just amazing if you're trying to inform so you saw a lot of this, but then for Disney to come out and put a statement and say that the bill should have never passed and that they are going to actively work to repeal it, I think one was fundamentally dishonest, but two, I think that crossed the line. This state is governed by the interests of the people of the state of Florida. It is not based on the demands of California corporate executives.
Preach. But this is what they believe they have. Corporations are at the point, you know, for so long in the 90s and early 2000s, I would hear Bernie Sanders and people on the left talk about how big businesses are taking over and you got to stop the big businesses. And I would think, yeah, it's the free market. It's whatever. It's no longer the free market because now they're like an oligarchy. They all have compiled together. They all believe the same thing. They're all pushing the same agenda. And they're all silencing the same voices. And they're all in unison together. So it's not just a free market being the free market. I wish that was the case. I wish I could be a supporter of that. As companies, when we went down and shut down during the pandemic, they got the biggest companies got more rich than they've ever gotten. More wealthy than ever. And so companies right now feel like they have just as much power, if not more power, than people like freaking President Joe Biden. Because after all, companies like Twitter can say, you know what? I don't care if you're the president of the United freaking States. Your voice is gone. Because I am the Lord of the land. I am in charge here, not you. But here's an interesting point where DeSantis continues to go down the hole.
They do not run this state. They do not control this state. I also thought it was interesting. I talked to the Speaker of the House yesterday afternoon, and he said Disney never called him while they were putting this through the House. They didn't seem to have a problem with it when it was going through. If this was such an affront, why weren't they speaking up at the outset?
And you and I both know why. Because there wasn't an uproar. They didn't know. They're like children. So many of these corporations, so many of these Hollywood actors, so many of these politicians are just like children. They're like, tell me what to do. Tell me if I need to be outraged about this right now because I don't know how to act.
Yet they won't. And then for them to say they're going to actively work to repeal substantive protections for parents as a company that is supposedly marketing its services to parents with young children, I think they crossed the line. And, you know, people ask me, you know, kind of about, you know, their posture on the bill. I said, you know what? If we would have put in the bill,
come on, here we go,
that you were not allowed to have curriculum that discussed the oppression of the Uyghurs in China,
Preach.
Disney would have endorsed that in a second.
Preach.
And that's the hypocrisy of this. And, you know, we're going to make sure we're fighting back.
What are you talking about? Disney? They're for the good of the children as they go and film right next to Uyghur Muslim camps and thank some of the guards and the people of the land to help out in the movie Mulan. But I digress. And this is where we're at, you know? We're at such a stage of pushing crazy propaganda on people and trying to change the narrative. And this is what happens when people don't actually read the bill. Like, I read the bill when it first came out, when it was first being talked about. And that's why I did it like 2 months ago. You can look it up. I talked about it like months ago. And I'm not trying to be like one of those podcasts to say, I was in the front. But I read about it and I thought, this is going to get picked up everywhere. And people are going to freak out about it because they want to talk about sexuality. They see it as a pillar of their faith. They see it as the bread, the body and the wine. They see it as what you need to take in order to have your sacrament, in order to be more holy. They need this literature a part of your child's life because they see it as an easy way to continue their agenda, to continue their indoctrination early on. And so if you're holding teachers accountable to actually teaching things like reading and writing, well, then they can't talk about themselves. And after all, everything in 2022 is about ourselves. Everyone needs to hear my struggles, my life, my, me, instead of you. I need to do me before I do you. Let me know your thoughts on this, guys. But this is their pillar and their hill in which they feel inclined to die on no matter what. Which is really sad. Because it's just such an... they could just not talk about this. And it could just go away. And because it's totally logical and totally okay. And you're not seeing any psychologist weigh on this because they would say exactly what I'm saying. Unless they're, indoctrinated or they're believers of what they deem as true and not actually logical believers. They believe it by faith. So this is where we're at. Let me know your thoughts on this. I'm curious. Again, this is not going away because people are so indoctrinated that they're believing a lie that this bill is about not saying gay. And if that was actually true, they would not die on this hill even more. But the fact that it's not true is just tells you the kind of where some of these people are at mentally, or they're just so willing to lie and in order to push their agenda and indoctrinate. Let me know your thoughts. Next story. Here we go. Oh, no. This is breaking today. CNN Plus employees bracing for layoffs, possibly as soon as May. Amid projections of lackluster sales of new streaming channel, the CNN employees say new streaming channel could be merged into larger Discovery Plus as early as May unless subscriptions pick up 130. Which I don't know what 130 is. 130 million. I don't know. Thanks, Charles, for saying 130. But it's so sweet. This is what happens when you only rely on a narrative over truth. Is that people will believe it for a while and they'll get riled up and they'll get excited and they'll start to freak out and they'll start to lose their minds. But then over time, they'll start to look at it and go, wait a minute. You're just continually pushing down this lie. As we get to this clip right freaking here of Don Lemon literally talking about what Joe Biden said about Vladimir Putin not being should be removed. And then he goes on to spout a lie, which is just so weird. I don't get how, okay, I get called out for misinformation on YouTube. I get taken down. I'm not allowed to post anything for a long time. But news agencies are continuously allowed to push false narratives or spin the truths or give a little half-truths or gray area truths in order for their agenda or for their guy to look good. But here's Don Lemon talking about Joe Biden. And it's just, I don't give these people benefit of the doubt. I just don't. At this point, why would you? They're lying to your face. They know exactly what they're doing. And they don't care. They don't. I don't assume ignorance. I don't assume Joe Biden's being ignorant whenever he talks. I just don't. They know exactly what they're doing. So here's Don Lemon talking.
The president is saying exactly what most of the world feels about Vladimir Putin. Now, he did not in that speech say that Vladimir Putin should be removed or we're going to take him out of power. He said
Which he did.
This man should not remain in power. What?
He said this man should not remain in power. He didn't say he should be removed. I'm not crazy. You're crazy. And CNN Plus is trying to figure out why they're having layoffs. I just can't figure out why no one wants to subscribe to us. Joe Biden didn't say he wanted to remove it. He just said he wanted to. Are you listening? Are you paying attention? Please say yes.
What person in their right mind thinks that someone who bombs innocent people, children, a country that is an unprovoked war?
I just can't with these people. Let's save that for later. Do a little refresher. Daily Wire, Ukraine update. Judge. I like this. Here we go. Joe Rogan says he's going to quit. What?
Become something different. If I become something different because it grew bigger, I'll quit. If it gets to a point where I can't do it anymore, where I have to do it in some sort of weird way, where I walk on eggshells and mind my P's and Q's, that.
Preach. But at the same time, he kind of is. Remember when he kind of walked back some of the COVID stuff or said, I'm not going to be political anymore and stuff like that? But I feel you on that. He's one of the first podcasters. That's why people enjoy him so much, is that he feels authentic when he talks. It's what I hope that you get out of me. I'm not trying to put on a show. I mean, I am, but I'm not trying to be this fabricated personality. I'm not a grifter. I'm not just going to say I used to be this just so I can get clout. It's not who I am. It's not what I'll ever be. And good on Joe for saying that, because it's like there's no money in the world that would make me, if they offered me billions and billions of dollars to say, here's a bunch of money, but I need you to live this lifestyle. I need you to lie constantly. I need you to fabricate stories, and I need you to twist the truth in order to make this candidate look good. I don't care if it's Donald Trump. I don't care if it's Joe Biden. I don't care if it's AOC. I don't care if it's Majority Taylor Greene. I don't care if it's Bernie Sanders. Like, we can go down the list. I don't care if one of them came to me and said,
Derek O'Shea, love what's going on. I need you to talk about this, even though I'm doing that. Here's $1 million to shut your mouth.
I would never do that, because what's the point? At the end of the day, it's your integrity. It's who you are. And why live a life of lies? Because after a while, it just starts to eat you alive. Lies always feel good at the beginning. And you like feel kind of crazy, feel kind of silly. And you're like, you think you're getting away with stuff. And then after a while, you start to think, man, I'm kind of a crappy human being. That's why I'm glad Joe Rogan says, I'll just quit if I feel like I'm just going to constantly walk on eggshells. Because could you imagine, first of all, could you imagine a 3-hour podcast of someone walking on eggshells the whole time? That doesn't happen. The only way someone could possibly have a show while walking on eggshells is, drumroll, look at our corporate media. That's all they do. That's why they can go on their commercial breaks. That's why they can interrupt people all the time, because they're constantly walking on eggshells and they're constantly being told what to say and what not to say in order to push their agenda. Let me know your thoughts on this.
Joe Rogan.
All right. Lizzo comes out and announces no shame shapewear line called Yitty. That almost sounds like Yeezy. It says everyone's size is just their size. Lizzo has made herself part of the body positivity movement, now 33 years old. Recording artist introduced a line of shapewear where she insists is a different from restrictive, uncomfortable options currently in the market. which is weird because every time I go to a pants store, it's always like stretchy pants. So I don't know what uncomfortable line she's talking about, which is reported, including Kim Kardashian's popular Skims line, which is reported $3.2 billion. She says the quote-unquote Truth Hurts singer just announced that the premier Yeti... God, what are you wearing today? Oh, it's the Yeti. I'm just getting all Yeti'd out. It's really sad. Honestly, it's so sad that we're at a point now where people are just, instead of admitting they're wrong, admitting that they need to change, admitting maybe how they're living is unhealthy and not good for the long run, not good for you, not good for other people around you, especially if you have as they say, you have a platform, you have a responsibility. But we're a culture, just like what you watch with Will Smith and Chris Rock. You just need to embrace me. You need to celebrate me, no matter who I am, no matter what I am. I just don't know how far that goes. And to say like, someone like her saying that we need to celebrate and be anti-fat phobic as opposed to it saying, you know what? I'm not saying like you're a piece of crap, but I'm saying that you're literally killing yourself with eating. And it's not okay. It's not healthy. And I don't want you promoting it to my children. I don't want you promoting it to other children. I don't want you promoting it to other people because it's not a healthy thing. It'd be like a drug addict. It'd be like an alcoholic walking around telling everyone, you know what? Being blackout drunk is awesome. And you should celebrate me all the time. And if you don't, it's because you're alcoholic phobic. Let me know your thoughts on this. Because honestly, I see a depressed individual. I see a sad individual full of anxiety that is living out a life of shame and guilt. And through that shame and guilt, she is creating lines and wears as opposed to actually addressing the issue. And you can always tell someone that lives in shame and guilt when someone calls them out on who they are and they feel like they have to act a certain way. So let me know your thoughts on this. Okay. Wanda Sykes, AOC, and that might be fun to do later. Joe Biden. Live shows. God. Female Asian book lover space? What? Okay, Jon Stewart. God, this guy. And all right. For so long, people on the right see Jon Stewart like a Bill Maher, a guy who's takes no shit from no one. Just a strong individual, willing to say the truth no matter what side he's on, is now pushing white fragility, CRT, rhetoric, because after all, if you want to be on, what's this? Apple TV. You can't just be a straight edge lib. And so here we're at Jon Stewart and probably what I believe is ultimately Jon Stewart's downfall. And please let me know if you believe this to be true, but it's like he started his show and he started speaking out against COVID, which was so great. You're just like, yeah, you're speaking facts. You're like, yeah, what is the Wuhan lab? Like, why can't we talk about this? We're such a silly moment. And you saw Stephen Colbert like, oh, don't say that. It's just so insane. Stephen Colbert, a comedian. Real comedians should allow their guests to say whatever they want and make people feel as uncomfortable as possible, because that's what comedy is. Most comedy is in the uncomfortable subjects. But here's Jon Stewart falling in line, which is just sad to see. Let's listen.
And thus, the problem with white people.
Okay. I want you to hear the beginning of this. Listen to the beginning of this. You would never hear a segment about the problem with black people, the problem with Hispanic people, the problem with Asian people, the problem with trans people, the problem with gay people, the problem with lesbians. You would never hear this. But for some reason, media, corporations, YouTube, Google, all these people say, you know what? It's okay to be as bigoted as you want towards white people, because after all, they don't actually face discrimination. And there's no such thing as being racist towards white people, because there's actually a power dynamic. And so therefore you can say whatever you want. But here's Jon Stewart.
And thus, the problem with white people. Hold on. I'm just gonna stop for a second and pose so you can get your memes out. Okay.
I love that. Finally, someone's brave enough to talk about how stupid white people are. It's so refreshing. Honestly, it's like, what a great take. It's so new. It's so different. It's so nuanced. It's a deep thinking concept that I'm here for. Finally, Jon Stewart's bringing the facts to us, because, God, no one's talking about the problem with white people. No one.
There we go. Get a good picture for your clickbaits.
And I'm going to do it too.
For however sincerely we want to reckon and listen.
That's right. And he's falling in line. Shut up and listen. Shut up, white people. You don't have a voice in this. You should just sit back and listen. As I saw people talking about the Will Smith and Chris Rock thing, and I saw all these silly articles like in Forbes magazine and stuff like that about white people. Why don't you guys just sit this one out, okay? This is a black issue, okay? And you need to know that, okay? Okay, let's just keep listening to the edgy comedian, Jon Stewart.
To reckon and listen. The truth is, America has always prioritized white comfort over black survival.
Which is like the most ironic thing in the whole world. Do they talk about the major crime in the cities? Do they talk about the mostly peaceful summer ever? No, they're still talking about January 6th as if it was yesterday. But let's keep talking about, white comfort. Because it's not like there isn't movies, television shows, full channels, podcasts everywhere, leftist channels everywhere, making white people feel like their mission is to make white people feel uncomfortable. There isn't, Ibram X. Kennedy isn't forcing people to spend $40,000 to listen to him talk about how white fragility and CRT is not really CRT, but, let's talk about the power dynamic. It's just racist. But because it's reverse, and I know there's no such thing as reverse racism, according to them. Because it's reverse racism, because it is racism, it's okay to be talked about. It's okay. It's okay to be racist towards these people because they deserve it after all. That's where we're at. In a culture, that's where the left is. That's where Hollywood is. That's where a lot of politicians are. That's where a lot of corporate media is at. Corporations, corporate news. That's where colleges are at. I mean, even myself, recent grad, recent master's. I did take a course on my whiteness. So to say that we're prioritizing white comfort in today's world, I think we're prioritizing other maybe POC comfort, if we could be honest. But we're not going to be honest because it's 2022 and it's more about the narrative, propaganda, and pushing down things down people's throats that aren't necessarily true.
Over
Praise
black
God.
survival. Black people have had to fight so hard for equality.
I like that he says black survival too, which is just, if we don't talk about inner city violence and black crime and act like that's not an issue in our cities, like Chicago, I usually every Monday I talk about my podcast, how many people were shot over the weekend that no one talks about. Chicago is one of the biggest war zones in the world, but no one wants to talk about that. I just recently moved to Chicago because I couldn't take it anymore. It's obnoxious to walk in the street at night. But let's keep listening to the great and powerful.
So hard for equality that they've been irreparably set back in the pursuit of equity. And any real attempt to repair.
Oh, he was like doing a reparation stroke, and he said repair instead, which I love.
A ton of that damage. Reparation.
Oh.
Sets off white people's "they're coming for our shit" alarm, which we would know ourselves had we actually been listening.
My feeling is white people
What?
have a very, very serious problem, and they should start thinking about what they can do about it.
Oh my God. What a racist thing to say. It's just white people that they have a problem with. It's almost like they're born with it. It's genetic. It's something deep down within them. They can't get rid of it. No, they can't get rid of it. They're born with it. Maybe their brains are smaller. Maybe they just think differently. I don't know what it is, but they need to make up for it. And what is reparations going to do? And who do you pay? How many generations back do you go? Is giving money to people solve problems ever in life? Is just giving money, maybe temporarily, could solve a lot of problems. Does that mean you give out reparations and all of a sudden we don't have to have CRT? We don't have to have Hollywood push down their propaganda down people's throats? Is that what that means? Or is it just another notch on the belt? Please let me know your thoughts. Jon Stewart, you suck. I can't do it. I can't fall in line. You're just another one. You're John Oliver, you're Stephen Colbert, you're all the same. Just bend the knee, shut your mouth. That's all everyone wants to do these days. It's so sad. Okay.
Where's my next story? Now, what's going on?
Can we just look at this title, this headline for a minute from Forbes? I just can't do it anymore. I just can't. Why are the jokes always at the expense of black women? Really? Always? Because as a ginger, people give me a lot of jokes. You have no soul. You're basically a vampire because you're afraid of the sun. Like, I get constant jokes. And some are good, some are just boring. But really, all the jokes, everyone's a victim all the time. It's like the minute like one person hears one joke or one instance happens, all of a sudden it's the narrative that instance means that instance, all these people experience this all the time, no matter what. And they're the only people in the world that actually experience this. Do you catch my drift?
Okay.
Okay. Say that best for last. All right. The Daily Wire announced a $100 million investment into Daily Wire Kids to fight back against Disney. $100 million. Did you know they had that kind of money? I didn't. Let's listen to Jeremy, so boring, talk about it.
So, if Harry's Razors is our statement to America that you don't have to give your money to woke corporations who hate you, and if the Daily Wire itself historically has been our way of saying to Americans, you don't have to give your money to woke corporate media that obviously hates you. Our movie company, Daily Wire Entertainment, has been saying you don't have to give your money to woke entertainment companies that obviously hate you. Where does that leave us now? Well, now it leaves us with Disney. Disney, Disney, Disney. They're the gift that keeps on.
Daily Wire is coming after our kids. Good. Ew, stop.
Giving. They gave us Gina Carano. I think we should give them a round of applause for that.
Ow, Gina. Ow.
And they learned absolutely nothing. They learned absolutely.
They gave us. I'm sorry, it just hit me. They gave us Gina Carano. Give us your Gina Carano. I'm just kidding.
And they learned absolutely nothing. They learned absolutely nothing from their defeat in Virginia because of the radicalization of children that was exposed by Luke Rosiak in Loudoun County. They learned nothing. And today, because of the great reporting of Chris Rufo, we got to see leaked footage from inside Disney of high-up Disney employees saying things like, we have a not-so-secret gay agenda. Saying things like, make sure I get this quote right.
How dare you, Jeremy? Get your facts in line, sir.
We're adding in queerness wherever we can, and that, quote, no one is trying to stop the producer who was doing so. Another executive within the company said, if anything, we don't have enough LGBTQIA representation in content made for very small children. So what are we going to do about it? Well, we're going to do the same thing we always do. We're going to build alternatives. Americans have enormous economic might. They just don't have any alternatives. The Daily Wire is building those alternatives. And today, I'm proud to tell you that we will be launching Daily Wire Kids.
Crazy. Also, can we talk about how this is like a Apple Tim Cook event? Like, what's going on right now? You're going to love the new iPhone. We not only upgraded the front camera, we upgraded the back camera.
And I want to be clear that DW Kids is not a direct response to the leak tape that we heard from Disney today. We've been working on this for months. Some of you in the room have been a part of it, but we've kept it pretty close. We haven't let most of you in the room know because it just wasn't ready. We wanted a huge announcement, and our plan was to roll out the announcement in November. Let's get past the politics of the midterm elections. Let's get past the Jeremy's Razors launch. Let's get past Terror on the Prairie. Let's get past What is a Woman. Let's get some open runway in front of us, and then let's announce DW Kids. That was the plan. Disney took that plan away from us because what they exposed today to the world is something that we've known all along, something that anyone working in the entertainment industry has known for a long time.
Of course. And what we've talked about on our channel for a very long time. And it makes sense. Again, I constantly say, why wouldn't they go for your kids? Why wouldn't they want to push because this is their religion, this is their ideology, this is what they believe to be true. So they will take it to the streets, they will proclaim it on the mountaintops. This is their gospel, this is what they believe to be the truth. And so this is what they want to do. And so it's encouraging and cool to see that there are other companies saying, you know what? I know you're Disney, I know you're ABC, I know you're Hollywood, I know you're Warner Brothers, I know you're like these companies, but we can create it too. And not only that, we have the platform, we have the camera equipment, and we have the people like Gina Carano in order to push and do the same stuff that you're doing. Now it's a war. Now it's a culture war. So
that they are hell-bent on taking your children away from you. But what they did today is they exposed it to the whole world. And we want to say there is an alternative coming. We've been working on it for months, which is why I'm proud to tell you that 3 months ago, we hired our first 2 writers under DW Entertainment, Eric Branscombe and Ethan Nicole. Now, these are 2 writers who came to us by way of the Babylon Bee, one of the funniest websites in America today. But before that, they were the writers on VeggieTales, the animated series. These guys have a deep history in animated kids content that has our values. There's 6 scripts in to our very first animated kids show, which is called Chilla Time.
Because we just chilling. We chilling with the chilling time. Is that the chinchillas? Oh my God. That looks incredible, actually. Maybe we'll do a live showing. I wonder if Daily Wire, though, are going to still like force you to pay and to watch it. So it's not like, it's hard to combat culture when you can only go after a select few people. It's too bad they don't have like a channel that you can just get on Comcast, which will probably never ever happen, but that's where we're at.
Chilla Time is a family of chinchillas who homeschool their kids. And they don't homeschool their kids.
Bunch of weirdo homeschoolers, but I guess it's 2022, and after the pandemic, people were like, homeschool is actually not for losers. It's actually awesome. But the kids that I saw that were homeschooled growing up they didn't have the trauma I had, therefore they didn't know what funny was. So
kids in sort of the normal way. There's not a lot of sitting around at tables. There's not a lot of arts and crafts. There's completely immersive insanity. When the Chilla parents want to teach their Chilla kids about George Washington, suddenly the kids find themselves fighting in the Revolutionary War. But things don't ever.
Okay. So it's like a history thing. I guess it's kind of cool. I wish they would also just talk about like normal stuff. It doesn't have to be about politics. You know?
Go quite like they're supposed to.
I honestly I like that idea. I like the concept. I think it's cool. I think it's cool to teach kids in a certain way. It's cool to have an educational program, but that's very homeschool vibey too. I wish there was also just like a comedy, everyday life kid show that kids could just be kids and maybe teach them how to dream, maybe teach them how to imagine and what they can grow up to be like instead of just doing like the same old like conservative cartoon of here's George Washington. This is why we like George Washington, you know? And here's what the Constitution is, and here's the Bill of Rights, and why we should be focused on the Bill of Rights, and here's what a SCOTUS is. And it's like, I don't know. Maybe I'm alone on that. Let me know your thoughts.
Because, of course, we're the Daily Wire, and we're not making polemics. So our goal isn't to make a piece of educational content. No, our
that's
goal is
refreshing.
to make some really great kids content the kids actually want to see, but where they gain some perspective. They gain.
Okay. So a little bit of educational content, which is fine, but I don't know. I wish they would do education content and also just everyday content, you know, kid content that they could just veg out on too. Doesn't always have to be about George Washington. I don't know. Call me crazy.
A sort of baseline understanding of what we might call cultural literacy. So there's no proof that as they act out the Revolutionary War, anything will actually happen the way it happened in history. But
Okay.
there is you can count on the fact that it will be absolutely hilarious when it does happen. And more importantly, unlike Disney, which used to create wholesome content, which used to create content that parents could trust their children in front of.
Did Disney ever create wholesome content? I don't know. I don't know if they ever created wholesome content, but it was definitely content for sure. I don't know if I'm on the old way was better way. I don't know. Maybe I'm alone on that.
Parents will be able to rest assured that their kids can watch DW Kids, entertainment, without having to review it first and then explain to their
Great. They're just going to indoctrinate our children early on, and then they're going to all grow up and listen to freaking Ben Shapiro.
kids why mommy and daddy don't actually agree with that TV show later. Our second piece of DW Kids content is called Doodles with Noodles.
Oh. Okay. Doodles. Why is it doodle? I think like a poop or something. Like, I know, drawing to, and that animal almost looks like a turd. I don't know.
And while it looks like another animated show, it actually isn't. This is just the only art we had on short notice. Doodles with Noodles is actually a live-action puppet show.
Creep alert. I wonder if it's going to be like Sesame Street, or if it's going to be like a weirdo.
In which our very own Ethan Nicole will teach kids how to do drawings, alongside his friend, the puppet, Noodles. Unfortunately, while Noodles is very eager to participate in the drawing.
Can we all just admit that puppeteering is a little weird? Like, I get it, but who grows up to be like, I'm going to really get into puppeteering when I get older? I love it.
Process. His drawings never quite turn out.
Defcon, what up? Oh man, Doodles with Noodles. Just spit my coffee when he said, I was spit out everywhere too. And I'm like, the Doodles with Noodles, it almost sounds sexual. I don't want to go there, but come on down with Doodles with Noodles. You got your doodle and you got your noodle.
Out the way that Ethan intends. It's an absolutely hilarious concept, and we'll get to see kids actually learn.
Just like, I don't know. I just can't.
Learn skills that they don't have.
Every 13-year-old boy is like, noodle.
While again, also being utterly entertained, which is our first goal with all of our entertainment content. Again, we're not making polemics. We're not making Hillary's Hard Drive Part 3, and we're not making Hillary's Hard Drive Part 3, the animated series for little kids. We're also not making, with our entertainment content, we're not making like conservative Christian content that people really want to see.
It's kind of refreshing. You did start out with we're going to talk about George Washington and you're going to talk about the Revolutionary War. But my main critique was like, I didn't want this to be like another educational purpose. There's good for education, but then there's also like, let's do some comedy. Let's do some silly stuff. Let's do some stuff that teaches the kid to dream or imagine, to play in their head, like wholesome content like that. Not just, we're talking about the Constitution today. Come on, kids, learn about a bill. I have a bill.
We're making content that has underlying values that conservative Christians all agree upon.
What does Ben Shapiro think of that?
But that they actually want to see. Now, with our kids' content, we'll play it much safer than with our adult content. Why? Because you're supposed to give kids a safe environment to be kids. You're not supposed to be challenging kids with radical new ideas. You're supposed to be able to trust your kids in a culture. The left has this phrase, they love to use it. It takes a village, they say, to raise a kid. If that ever meant anything, it should have meant a village is a collection of people who all share common values. It's supposed to mean that any adult can trust their child with any other adult.
No, and that's what they do mean. But again, the left, their religion, their ideology, their truth, their pillars of what they believe, their Bible, in which they read out of, whatever you want to call it, is the LGBTQ agenda, Black Lives Matter, like all, the Marxist ideology, like this is what they believe to be true. And so when they say it takes a village, they want public school teachers. They don't want things like the Don't Say Gay bill, which has nothing to do with Don't Say Gay, but that's what we're just going to say. We're not going to say it's Don't Say Gay, Oodles with noodles. So that's their ideology. It's their truth. It's what they believe to be true. And so they want the village to control it. They want the Hollywood elites. They want the politicians. They want the corporations to be on board. I'm not going to support McDonald's unless they pull out of Russia.
Send your kids to school and assume that they're not going to have radical gender and race theories shoved on them. But we don't live in that village anymore. In fact, the tape that we saw today of those Disney employees was a direct response to a bill passed in Florida. They say it's the Don't Say Gay bill. They say that because they're liars. They say that because they like to frame things up so that people won't use their critical thinking and realize what's actually taking place. The bill in Florida is specifically meant to say that very, very young children, the youngest of the young, the kind of kids who might like doodles with noodles or Chilla Time, probably have a right to go to school.
Chilla Time. It almost sounds like a stoner show. Hey man, Chilla Time, man.
Cool. And not hear radical gender and race theory.
Man, it's amazing. Tim Cook, Steve Jobs, Jeremy Boring. Jeremy is boring. Jeremy Boring. God, I just can't get it out of my mouth. Investing $100 million into DW Kids. Will it be good? And yes, I will. I will critique and I will review it because nothing gets past me. Let me know your thoughts on this. DEFCON 1 comes in the chat and says, Oodles with noodles, just spit my coffee out. I don't think you're alone in that, bro. I just don't. So many times I'm like, how many people did you run this name by? Because I don't think it was a lot. Oodles with noodles. Doodles. I got your doodles. I got my noodles. We're almost to clip time. Oh, okay. Daily Wire actually went to Ukraine, which I think is interesting. Yes, I will be making fun of that. What else is going on? Okay, we'll talk about that later. Okay. Let's see. The top clips of the day. CBS reports, according to sources, the federal pub that Hunter Biden's business... What? CBS? CBS is talking about Hunter Biden? Come on, this isn't real. CBS? Hunter?
Multiple sources tell CBS News that the federal investigation into Hunter Biden's business practices is broader than previously known. The probe is exploring whether the younger Biden and his associates violated tax, money laundering, and foreign lobbying laws. Business records reviewed by CBS News and documents released by Republicans in Congress indicate multiple financial transactions involving Hunter Biden, his firm, and a Chinese energy company called CEFC. Republicans allege that the company is an arm of the Chinese government. In 2017, the year after Joe Biden left the vice presidency, a $1 million retainer was signed with the Chinese energy company for Hunter Biden's services as a lawyer. His client, a CEFC official, Patrick Ho, was later convicted of international bribery and money laundering charges for unrelated work in Africa. This week on the Senate floor, Republican Chuck Grassley presented financial records that he said showed six-figure payments from the Chinese energy company to Hunter Biden's firm.
Hunter Biden and James Biden served as the perfect
Don't forget the big guy.
vehicle by which the communist Chinese government could gain inroads here in the United States.
Allegations about Hunter Biden's foreign business dealings reached a fever pitch during the 2020 campaign.
Hunter was being paid for access to his vice president father.
Again, that was 2020. It's 2022 now. 2022.
Earlier this month, White House spokesperson Jen Psaki was asked about the current investigation.
I'd point you to the Department of Justice and Hunter Biden's representatives. I'm a spokesperson for the United States. He doesn't work for the United States.
An attorney for Hunter Biden did not respond to CBS News. Last year, he told correspondent Anthony Mason the president did not financially benefit.
Have you ever given your father money from any of your business ventures?
No.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Directly or indirectly?
Directly or indirectly.
Today, the White House declined to comment on the record and directed reporters to earlier statements that President Biden has never considered being in business with his family or any business overseas. Nora.
Catherine Herridge, thank you.
You know what? At this point, I'm also declining to comment. Welcome. How deep are they going to go in with this? I don't know. What's their agenda plan? Because obviously it's an agenda plan. Because again, this information was out. It was all there. Everyone mocked Rudy Giuliani. I remember the countless memes of his colored hair dripping down his face as they called him insane and crazy. And they said the same thing about Trump, but he's pushing down
Russian disinformation.
He's basically a Putin pawn. So, if they say that all this stuff is real, then who's the big guy? Who's the big guy? And that's what matters, doesn't it? Because if the big guy is who we think it is, then what does that mean? Will we ever get down to the bottom of it? Will the FBI lose everything? I don't trust anything of what's going on. It's just going to be like, Epstein. We're not going to really get down to the bottom of it. There might be sort of a trial, the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, that nothing comes out from it. And people get paid off. This is why people don't trust politicians, corporate elites, corporate media, because they just lie. All they do is lie, and they don't care. They don't care. And that's why I'm at the point now where when I do these news stories, I mock so much of what's going on because you can't critique it anymore. You can't critique what's going on in the news anymore. You have to mock it because if you try to critique it, they don't care about the critique. They don't care that what they're spreading or whatever. You have to, when you come up against a narcissist, you can't show them the facts because it doesn't matter. You mock them, it makes them angry, and then they might listen. Let me know your thoughts on this story. It's so freaking weird. I don't get the end game. I really don't. Oh yeah, speaking of Hunter Biden, I didn't see this. Matt Gaetz.
Soon, I also have filed legislation to strip the security clearances from the 51 national security officials who all lied to the country and said this was Russian disinformation. We now see that being walked back with, yet again, DOJ authorized leaks to CNN. I think it's really something, Tucker, that CNN comes out with this big piece today saying, oh, the investigation into Hunter Biden is heating up a day after the FBI was humiliated by basic questions I asked in the Judiciary Committee about their efficacy, their work, their chain of custody, and the evidence they may have of a U.S. vulnerability that could be exploited by our adversaries.
Yeah, there's something going on there. There's a move against Biden from within the Democratic Party. I have no idea what it means, but it's obviously underway.
That's literally what I was just saying. Like, I don't know why they're all of a sudden on board for this. Maybe it's the cognitive thing. Maybe it's the Ukraine thing, what's going on, and him just slipping up, him not talking about information, or just fumbling with your words, or what, gaffing, as they say. There's something weird. And it ain't right.
Young lad.
Let's see if John Kennedy can make me laugh.
You probably remember your trip to Disney World when you were a young lad, Senator. How times have changed, haven't they?
Yes. Jesse, let's put this in context. I think most fair-minded people believe that there are certain topics, subjects, that are inappropriate to discuss with very young children. I'm thinking about things like abortion, pornography, assisted suicide, masturbation. The Florida legislature, elected by the people, passed a law that said, look, in our Florida schools, we're not going to teach the subject of sexuality to very young kids. And by sexuality, I mean sexual orientation.
I'm sorry. I just started imagining if John Kennedy was like my dad and he started like gave me the sex talk. Now, son, here's a banana. You put the condom on the banana.
And gender identity. The wokers in Florida got very upset. And let me define my terms. Wokers, as we know, believe they're smarter and more virtuous than the rest of us.
Which they are. Get it right.
They believe they have a monopoly on the truth. They're intolerant of every other point of view. They're kind of like Dwight on The Office. Many of them.
How dare you? How dare you compare Dwight to woke people? That's almost like, that's fighting words. Like, I'm almost going to cancel you for saying that.
Also, not all, but many of them also eat.
First of all, Ryan, how dare you?
Food only fit for rabbits. But anyway, the wokers in Florida got very upset, including the wokers who work at Disney. They went to Mr. Bob Chapek, the CEO at Disney, and said, we want Disney to come out against this law. Mr. Chapek said, no, we're remaining neutral. This has nothing to do with Disney. Well, the wokers really got mad, and they brought in out-of-state wokers and some Hollywood wokers, and they really put pressure on Mr. Chapek. And Mr. Chapek flip-flopped like a banked catfish and gave in and said, now I'm putting the full weight of Disney behind trying to repeal this law. And I guess the final point I'd make is I do not understand how Mr. Chapek walks without a spine.
Oh, incredible. Just a national treasure. Oh, Disney, the Daily Wire groomers. All right, I'm going to watch this. Daily Wire actually went to Ukraine, which I didn't know they did. I mean, did you guys know that Daily Wire does actual journalism? I didn't know that. They went to Ukraine and they talked to people. I didn't know they did this stuff. It's good to see that they're, kids stuff, movies, of course, the podcast, and now they have journalism?
How does your wife feel about you heading back down there?
She's scared.
Ooh, even the filter kind of looks like Vice News. It's the conservative Vice News.
She's scared. Anyway, she reading the news. She understand the situation.
She's scared of this?
Yes, of course.
That even kind of sounds like Vice News. Oh my God, it's incredible. I'm getting Vice News vibes.
It's a bit surreal being back here after experiencing what's happening there on the ground.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's beautifully shot. It's a good voiceover, good intro music, good filter. Let's keep watching.
I met so many courageous people from Ukraine who are either looking for a place to stay and take refuge or are preparing to put their lives on the line for their country.
Right now they calling all the people who have some military experience. So in school, if you had like military training in college, and then if like you need more people, then you get into like civilians like me.
How do you feel about that? If they say, all right, it's your turn, how will that make you feel?
I mean, I would be scared to tell you the truth, but it's my duty. People in Ukraine hate Russians, and the world know now how much we hate them and why we hate them.
Shortly after landing in Warsaw, we made our way right down to a border city called Przemysl, where the Polish government and NGOs have set up different refugee centers where they're processing people coming from Ukraine to Poland. Behind me right now is a new bus of refugees that just made it to Poland. They're escaping Ukraine and they are being greeted by volunteers where they will come into this shelter that is up here by all these different NGOs, and hopefully they'll have transit to a safe place to sleep tonight. So as we were walking around, we were approached by this very excited Polish man who saw our cameras and started talking to us.
My name is Bartek.
And where are you from?
Yes, I am from Skierniewice, from Poland.
It is me, Bartek.
This is my girlfriend, Oksana. She's Ukrainian. Beautiful.
It's my wife. Oh my God. It's freaking Borat. It's my wife. She's nice.
Beautiful woman.
And what are you guys doing here today?
Right now, the Ukrainian people are not above the truck drivers, and we all goods what is in the boat, we repacking to the buses and repacking to the small buses because they can cross the boat. Yeah.
So you're bringing this to Ukraine?
Yes, we bring it to the Ukraine.
So after we spoke with him, he invited us to come along to Ukraine with him, and we immediately agreed.
Right now we're going to the Lvov. Lvov, I know how to say it in English. Lviv. We cross the board. For a few minutes we cross the board. And after this, 70 kilometers, and we will be in Lvov.
According to Bartek, trucks are not allowed across the border, but buses are. So on the Polish side, they fill the buses with supplies with humanitarian aid. They have a bunch of sausages that they bring to the army, and then they bring it to Ukraine. So once the buses are unloaded, they actually fill their buses back up, but this time with refugees to return to Poland. It took some time to get over the border because they are checking documents and making sure that, we are who we say we are. But as we were crossing the border, we saw hundreds of refugees heading from Ukraine into Poland. Right now, I'm in the city of Lviv, Ukraine, where I had a very special opportunity to talk to an English teacher here who had a lot to say about the refugee crisis and how it's impacting her city. Why do you think Putin did this?
I'm standing here in Ukraine. Slava Ukraine.
Because he is insane. He is just a psycho. That's it. And we don't want any enemies. We just want to live. We have our houses, have our families. We more like, down to earth. This is really very like scary to see every day, to see dead people again and again. And Russians and Putin, they dream about a big empire.
What do you think about President Zelensky?
Well, I personally didn't vote for him, but now I support him.
Oh, you know what? That is like kind of refreshing to hear that, a little bit of like a different side of not just he's the greatest man that ever walked the face of the freaking planet. He actually walks on water, and he should have received an award at the Oscars.
With all my heart. And I think that every Ukrainian today supports him, and we are all with him. And we think that he is one of us, he is us, and we are him.
I began to see beyond the refugee crisis. I saw Ukrainian citizens mobilizing to defend their country, and I saw people preparing to defend the city of Lviv.
In normal life, we do a lot of things here, and we have a brewery here, where we started with the Molotov cocktails. We have the manufacturer here which produce clothing like this. So this is done here, and
What used to be here? What used to be the industry?
yeah, like now it's stopped because.
But it was what? Beer, it was a brewery, and what else?
Yeah, we're doing festivals, and we have a restaurant here, we have a coffee shop. This is the publishing house office we have here. Now, actually, everyone is doing their best to do something to prepare the cocktails, to volunteer, to get the people who are running here from their houses on the east, because
This is for you, DEF CON.
Slava Ukraine. It was about Ukraine. Slava Ukraine. It was about
Slava Ukraine.
Lviv is more or less safe for them. Yeah. Some of them stay here, some of them move to Poland and further to Europe. And we are preparing food for them. We are preparing some humanitarian assistance for them. These are Molotov cocktails which we prepared. This is the normal bottle from our beer. Yeah, this is.
Wait, that's a normal bottle from your beer?
Yes, actually we have this beer since 2015 because we had in 2014 Russian came to Crimea Peninsula and in the eastern part, and they
I'm sorry that was like moving like that.
From that
I didn't realize
time,
I had that
but
filter
still, on. Now it's getting worse and worse every.
Wait, the Daily Wire is talking about beer? This is an exclusive take? What? I like the sentiment of this idea, but so far this has been like not the best report.
Today, and you will see Putin here holding nuclear bomb and the soul.
What is this? What is this? Wait, where was it? I gotta go back to where it was.
And
it was such a quick.
They brought this from that time, but still now it's getting worse and worse every day, and you will see.
What is this? Ew! I thought I saw something
Putin
like,
here.
Like, what is going on with this beer? Oh, wow. That's hot. Okay. Interesting.
Holding.
Is that an IPA? This is their new IPA. Try it. Wait, it's the Dry Hop Golden Ale. It's a golden ale. Good summer beer, bro. It's not summer yet, though.
Nuclear bomb and the soldier and the Russian trucks covered with blood. The brew team came up with the idea to produce Molotov cocktails with these bottles because this is the best way to show the message and to make some statement. And they started to produce, and whenever we claimed it, a lot of people came here willing to help, to bring some bottles, to bring some materials.
So volunteers came and brought bottles and materials?
Yeah, but mostly there were guys from our brew team who were doing that, and we prepared in 3 days, I think, more than 2,000 cocktails. And it's quite a lot. We distributed on the points of the local defense group, on the territorial defense, and we shipped some to Kyiv. For sure we will win this war. For us it's We don't have another choice.
Shortly after that, I met one very interesting young Ukrainian man who actually makes backpacks, wallets, and purses for a living. But right now, his business is put on pause as he makes vests to hold body armor. He told us through a translator that it was his duty. He's a young guy who loves the creativity of making backpacks and wallets and purses, but he says it's more important right now to make this for the army and to support his people in the war against Russia.
It's a collaboration.
Before they made
That's pretty
bags, wallets, purses, backpacks, and right now they are helping their friends to make body armor for people for forces east. I feel a responsibility to help the way I can. Some people went with military and fight on the front lines, but we here in the back, we must help with everything we can. It used to be the factory, this whole building, but right now there's offices from different small businesses. They all came together and decided that they give this space for refugees, between 100 and 150 people, but they stay here for like 1-2 days, and it's constantly changing around. Here, a woman from Zaporizhia, she lives here and helps sewing all together. This is my passion. I love doing this because there's designs, there's...
Here's my backpack. It looks like, what's that famous backpack? Huckleberry? I can't remember.
Creativity going into this, but body armor, there's no creativity. I wanted to make sewing...
You should make like a fashionable one.
Clothes. And I never would have imagined that my first piece of clothing that I sewed would be a body armor. The war in Ukraine didn't start at 24th, it started 8 years ago. But right now, the world started to know about it, and there's been a lot of exposure to this situation. And right now, we feel like proud that we can help, and we really making the difference.
These people have normal lives that are obviously being disrupted. He, like everyone else in Ukraine,
this is so
was
like
forced to
Vice
give up
News.
something.
It's crazy.
Tell me, you are my neighbor. It's our destiny. We will win it and we will pass it together, because most probably there won't be in even one house that there won't be a casualty. She lost her student yesterday. He was killed. Her student was killed on the front line yesterday. She and the Roman came to me and said, "We are so sad." No, I said, "You're so proud, because you had a courageous student." In a second, they transformed. But before that, they didn't learn. The classic, "I lost, I'm hiding." No, now you go in front. About your student, what's his name?
It's my alumni, not my student, it's my alumni. His name is Ivan Pakichko, and he was in the Ukrainian army. And he went here after the Ukrainian Leadership Academy. And yesterday we knew about he was killed at war. We in Academy are really proud of him because he is our hero, and he was.
It's amazing how people like cope in suffering, and how she is like celebrating his death. I don't know. War is crazy.
Brave, and he was fight about for our freedom.
From here on out, things began to get progressively more intense. It's been really remarkable to meet.
Who was that guy? Was that like a cartel member? Why was his voice so hidden? I like how they just like kind of threw that part in there.
So many of these people who have stepped up, but it's just the beginning. And right before we left, we interviewed a man who was about to go fight. Will the Ukrainian people ever accept Russian occupation?
No, definitely no.
Why?
Because we're too different. We are too differ between each other. There's huge difference between our peoples. They behave as slaves. We don't do it.
There are so many stories to tell, and so many more that unfortunately will never be told. As this conflict rages on, only time will tell if the Ukrainian people's patriotic attitude or the Russian war machine will be victorious.
Okay, Daily Wire, you're stepping up your game, bro. Your stock is rising, number 2. Let's see a couple more clips today. Oh, John Kirby. You know, we're looking at sending another $500 million to Ukraine. I don't know where we have all this money from, but all right.
The White House believes is winning. Thank you very much, Kate. Going back to her question, who the White House believes is winning this war?
I think that the White House believes that Ukraine has fought valiantly, has been incredibly brave and resolved in the face of atrocious, brutal invasion from Russia. I think what you've seen in the actions from this White House.
Why is everybody, and I mean everybody in politics, particularly on the left, they all go,
is that we have provided weapons, we have provided assistance, we have been there every step of the way and will continue to be, and we have put enormous.
It's the 2020
enormous economic pressure
2022
on Russia.
My bad.
In order to hopefully drive this conflict to a solution. So I think again, I don't know that I have to say it. I think that our actions show and the support.
She talks exactly like Psaki. Yeah, I know. Psaki, I feel like Obama was the first one to do a bunch of uhs, and then they all just were like, he talks so smooth.
That we provided shows that we believe that Ukraine has been incredibly.
I can't do it anymore. Next question.
The president has.
Sorry, Jack. Yep.
The president has called Putin a war criminal. He said that he believes he will meet the.
He didn't actually mean it that way.
Legal definition of a war criminal.
And a butcher.
And the U.S. has vowed to pursue all accountability measures, including prosecution. Sentencing for war crimes is long-term imprisonment. So how does all of that not equate to calling for regime change?
The president has been incredibly clear about this. He is not advocating
No, he
for a
hasn't.
policy of regime change. What he said.
How could this man stay in power?
A couple of days ago was a statement of personal moral outrage. But we do not have a formal policy.
When you personally say something, it's different than when the president says something. It's science. God. I mean, they seriously think we're an idiot. They look at you. I'm talking to you. Particularly you and DEF CON in the chat. They look at you and they're like, you're so dumb. You'll buy this. And then you'll forget. These people are like narcissistic, maniacal, crazy people.
Policy of regime change. What we are doing is continuing to impose unprecedented costs.
It's Scientology.
On Russia. We are in.
Don't talk about Scientology killer T-cell. They're coming. They're coming for you,
ensuring
bro.
that
watch out for the killer T-cell. Get your T-cell right here, bro.
The that Russia is paying for this choice. Putin himself has said that the cost, the impact of the sanctions has been significant. So we are continuing to focus on our strategy of making sure that we are providing security assistance to Ukraine and.
It's a bunch of nothing burgers. She even looks like Jen Psaki. How they got another redhead. It's like offensive to me. They don't answer a direct question. It's amazing. Yeah, I know they don't. And it's amazing how many people think that they are. And they're just like, these journalists are asking very ridiculous questions.
Of course, we are planning for multiple contingencies. And we have every expectation that when the CDC ultimately decides it's appropriate to lift Title 42, there will be an influx of people to the border. Of course, we are planning.
Oh, cool. We're going to lift Title 42 and we expect an influx on the border and we expect you not to say anything. Okay? Freaking white people. That's all you guys care about is the border. God, I'm so sick of this crap. Let's see. Next. What's this? Okay. I mean, I can't believe they got a person that looks exactly like Jen Psaki. Like, she looks like her. She dresses like her. She talks like her. It's almost like, you're actually watching Jen. She's actually here. You're not seeing Jen Psaki on CNN starting 2 months from now with her own show that's going to rival Tucker Carlson on CNN Plus.
And then secondly, if Putin has bad information per declassified U.S. intelligence, what does that mean for the war in Ukraine and the prospects for negotiations right now?
Well, I certainly am not a spokesperson for the Kremlin and cannot speak to what is in Vladimir
Yeah, obviously. God, I hate when people ask, like, obvious.
Putin's head. What I can say is, of course, we have information that Putin felt misled by the Russian military, which has resulted in persistent tension between Putin and his military leadership. We believe that Putin is being misinformed by his advisors about how badly the Russian military is performing.
I don't believe any of it, like, wartime propaganda. I just don't. It's like, as soon as I hear it, I'm like, okay, I'm done. Oh, God. Speaking of being done. Tired of these white people. They get to original president. Or get the fuck. Yeah, good call, T-Cell. AB original, good for you. Don't worry, she's Abby Normal. What's this from Jen? I mean, Jen, freaking Joe. Jen.
Even worse, if we need a different vaccine for the future to combat a new variant, we're not going to have enough money to purchase it. We cannot allow that to happen.
That's right, because when a company makes something, the consumer doesn't buy it. It's actually the government that has to buy it and then distribute it out for free. That's how the free market works. I'm so we're spending more money than ever, and Joe Biden's lowering the deficit. It all makes sense. It's the science, it's Scientology. So shut your mouth. If you say otherwise, it's because you're an idiot. God, it's just, did you guys see Joe Biden get his little shot today?
Will you meet with Trevor Reed's parents, Mr. President, while they're here in Washington? They say that you promised them a meeting.
I'm going to see if I can get to see them. They're
Today?
good. They're good people.
It's like, okay, let's all remember when Joe Biden challenged another man to push-ups. We're about to see the guns. We're about to see the guns in action. Put those babies away. Also, I have never been able to roll a sleeve, a dress shirt sleeve all the way up to the top before, ever. Look at him, all the way to the top.
To Ukraine as part of peace talks
How many?
with Russia?
In real conversation though, how many push-ups do you think Biden could actually do? Probably a Ruth Bader Ginsburg push-up. Biden got his booster to avoid the summer of hell and death. Oh, I remember the winter of, what was it? Winter of, I don't even. All presidents need to get their shots in. I know. I get so tired of like, look, it's me getting my shot. I'm not showing the world. I'm not trying to prove a point. It's just me doing the science. I'm just following the science. It's all talk about noodles. Look at Brian's noodle arm. Dude, Byron, dude. That's like the most noodle arm ever. It's like the DW kids. Oodles with noodles. Was that what it? Doodles with noodles. Can't wait for that show to come out by DW kids. Biden says, I don't know why I'm doing this on stage.
I'm going to get my second booster shot. I'm not sure why I'm doing it on stage.
Yeah, we're not sure why you're doing it on stage either, bro. This is all normal. That's right. This is all normal. You're not actually seeing what you're seeing. This is just part of the plan. Oh, yeah. Here's Biden talk about monoclonal antibodies. It's not partisan. It's medicine.
But now, just as we've reached the critical turning point in this fight, Congress has to provide the funding America needs to continue to fight COVID-19. We're already seeing the consequences of congressional inaction. The monoclonal antibody, take monoclonal antibodies, for example. They've helped save lives. This isn't partisan, it's medicine. But Congress hasn't provided enough money to keep purchasing these monoclonal antibodies. We've had to cancel planned orders and cut the supply we're sending to the states. Without more funding, we'll start to run out of them by the end of May. The end of May.
To be fair, I used to struggle with that word, monoclonal antibodies, as well. I've never heard monoclonal antibodies pronounced.
See these monoclonal
Dude, I remember when I first read about monoclonal antibodies, I was like, monoclonal antibodies.
Purchasing these monoclonal antibodies.
Monoclonal antibodies. I don't know. Ted Cruz. All right. Okay. You guys pick in the chat. Are we going to make fun of The View? Are we going to make fun of Wanda Sykes? Or are we going to... Yeah. The View, Wanda Sykes, or... Yeah, The View or Wanda Sykes. You get in the chat. Tell me. First one to say it wins. That's the next story we'll talk about. Wanda Sykes talks about the Oscars. The View is talking about the Democrats are in trouble. Or do you guys want to watch Vice talk about SCOTUS and black women? Which might be kind of silly and funny.
Space capabilities in less than 8 years.
The View. Good call. All right. Look, I'm sorry that I play clips of The View, but I just can't help it. They're like my kryptonite. They're like Fox News' AOC. Fox News can't help but talk about AOC. I can't help but talk about The View.
In a recent New York
it's too funny to me.
Magazine interview, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez
Did you hear Ocasio-Cortez?
warned Democrats that they could be in trouble going into the midterms. She thinks they're still in the game, but the president and moderate Democrats need to stop thinking they can return to an era where a backroom deal with the GOP could be reached, because that kind of thinking...
I love her reading out of a teleprompter. She's like, I don't even know what I'm reading. The moderate Democrats need to stop thinking they can return to...
killed the Build Back Better.
It's the most offensively sexist show I know.
Bill, do you agree?
Do you agree? And what did I even read? You take it from here.
No.
Okay.
No. This is the absolute...
No, the Democrats are winning. Inflation is good. Gas prices are fine because we all drive electric, except for those idiot, stupid, weak, poor people who shop at Walmart. Am I right? Those people are disgusting.
Wrong lesson that Democrats have learned from what happened in the last year. The country is not left of center. We are a moderate country. Independents dominate the electorate.
Exactly. And independent and moderate people love what's going on in the world. They love it. They think Joe Biden speaks incredibly well. I know that's a microaggression for white people to be told that you speak well, but I'm going to say it anyways.
And it's swing districts that make a difference. It is a 5-seat margin in the House of Representatives right now. And
inflation means you get helped. Oh my God. Inflation is like a dietary measure. I mean, even I went to the grocery store and I was like, Daddy wants a steak. Daddy is not getting a steak. That's way too expensive.
historically, it looks like it's going to be a bloodbath for the Democrats if they don't turn things around. Now, the way to do that is not to go pull further to the left and get into these squabbles that give
Exactly. Like, don't say gay. Say gay. And say it as much as you want. Gay, 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 gay.
Republicans the ammunition.
The more money I pay at the putt, the more patriotic I feel. Me too. Every time I actually choose the most expensive gas station in my area because it makes me feel better about who I am, because I know I'm supporting whatever it is I'm supporting.
They need for the culture wars. What they need to do is they need to recognize some of the disingenuous arguments Republicans are using, and Democrats need to start
I love this show so much. They always talk about how Republicans have disingenuous arguments, and people in the Democratic Party, like, they're just like, they're genuine. They're not disingenuous. They're totally genuine. They're honest people, and they're not gaslighters. They're not these crazy gaslighting Republicans.
hitting back proverbially on holding Republicans accountable in these districts. There's only 13 competitive swing districts out of 269 that are being redistricted right now. That's not a lot. AOC is in a safe district. She doesn't have to worry about this. The progressives are in safe districts. They don't determine the House of Representatives' control.
Yeah, she's a safe district, and so is somebody like a freaking Nancy Pelosi. How that woman continues to get elected, where is it? Slava Ukrainia. Slava Ukrainia?
You're lying.
Here it is.
Slava Ukraine.
Slava
It was about-
Ukrainia.
She is worried about, though, is the health of this country, right? And she's worried about the families of this country. And progressive policies are popular policies across the board. They're
Progressive policies are not popular across the board. They're popular across the board in major cities like, I don't know, New York and LA. So in your little bubble, it might feel like it's so popular. Why am I the popular one?
are popular policies across the board. They're actually popular with independents, and they're popular with Republicans as well. And let me tell you,
progressive policies are popular with Republicans? Come on. Just come on. Come on, Sal. Come on. Come on.
Tell you what I mean about these policies. There's 84% support for paid maternity leave. I'm surprised Republicans don't think that's a good thing. 75%.
Because it should be a company policy. And so maybe a woman could be like, I want to work for this company because they support that, not force from the government. I don't know. It's got to be crazy.
% support government funding for childcare. 60% support boosting the minimum.
Yeah, Republicans are all support of more government teaching jobs that allow them to talk to their children at younger and younger ages for free. I love this idea of free. Nothing the government does is free.
Minimum wage, 57%.
The government doesn't make money.
Support tuition-free state public college, and 54%.
No one supports public tuition-free college. Nobody does. Because I do not support some 18-year-old kid going to get a gender studies degree. I don't. Or a degree on you fill in the blank that is meaningless to society.
4% support Medicare for all, and that's across the board.
Okay, wait, what was that percentage for Medicare for all? Because I know about Medicare, and Medicare sucks.
Support Medicare for all.
72% for fun times. And 99% support The View continuing to stay on the air and for me to have a raise. I support myself in a raise.
And that's across the board.
Who pays for it.
Well, maybe the that are paying
well, he's
for.
Trying to get
Who's this woman?
For wars
raise
can
the taxes
pay
on
for
these
that
billionaires.
as well.
Maybe they'll pay for it.
Exactly.
Yeah, get these billionaires. And then when they leave the country and when they take their businesses outside of the country and there's no more billionaires to continue to tax the hell, and people are like, wait a minute, are we becoming Venezuela?
But you know,
that won't pay for it either, though.
What you're saying is very true. So I was surprised to see this Harris,
I'm okay. If I was a politician, I would push out a bill that I only want to tax Hollywood elites 40 or 50% because they seem like they're on board for all this socialized stuff. Let's tax the crap out of just them. So if you support any of these measures, if you support any of this ideology, you should be forced to be taxed on that. Just a thought. I don't know. Call me crazy because I'm calling bull crap on them for if they were actually forced to do these things.
Harris poll this morning that said that it shows that Trump is leading Biden 47 to 41. If the election were held now, I mean, we have a 6.7 million job growth in this country, which is the greatest.
The greatest ever. It's not like you just opened an economy from a pandemic where you forced people to shut down. Yeah. Joe Biden did an amazing job just going like this. Job growth.
In 40 years. So what is the problem? It's the messaging.
It's the messaging. We're not pushing our propaganda enough.
And the Democrat, I think AOC has a point when she talks about, this is not the old days when Tip O'Neill would negotiate with Strom Thurmond. Those days are, whatever it was, I don't remember. But those days are gone.
But she also wants President Biden to rule by executive order, which is not how our system works.
But he has to. You can't build consensus with crazy people.
I did ask that question when...
Who is this woman pushing back on executive orders?
We were talking about
voters,
election results and how to fix the voting system.
Yeah, wait, I thought we had the safest and most fair election.
And I suggested that that's what he should do. And Governor Warnock, Senator Warnock said he is not a king. And if in fact, most of this messaging is coming to us through newspapers and through online places. I don't listen to them.
Right. I do my own thing.
I don't listen to them because the only people who will determine what happens is not the newspapers, it's not them, it is going to be all of us.
It's The View. We determine everything what's going on. We are The View.
May God help these people. No. May God help anyone who takes these people, even with a grain of salt. And a grain of salt is just so tiny, just so teeny. It's hard to see. It just fits in the palm of your hand. You can kind of see it. But if anybody looks at that salt and goes, you know what? There are some things that The View has to say that I actually believe. Those people, may God help those people. Dear God, they actually do need prayers. I know. Almost mean moms of my friends as a kid trying to convince me to stay for Tupperware party vibes. Dude, Tupperware parties? I think I remember those growing up. Oh, God. I think you just triggered me, bro. Just like Tupperware parties. I wonder what Live News is talking about.
Which reads, Russian soldier, you've been sent to hell.
Graffiti. So we're just such a silly kind. All right, I want to hear what Wanda has to say about her trauma from the Oscars.
I have to ask, if you want, we can talk about, but hosting, first of all, again, I want to say how great a job that you did.
Was it though?
Amy did, Regina did. I want to thank you.
Was it though?
I'm very proud of them, both of them, yeah.
Y'all should be proud. It's a big deal. It's a bucket list when you get to host the Oscars. And for something to happen like what happened...
That upstages you.
...with Will and Chris.
How dare thee take the light from the eyes in such a way.
It takes away from so many things. It took away from Questlove's win on the documentary. It took...
They're so worried. Hollywood is so mad about their moment being taken away, rather than a grown man just walked up and slapped the crap at another human being over a stupid, a dumb, it wasn't even funny joke, a G.I. Jane joke. It's not funny. It's like the 90s. It's like our boomers making that joke. Like I never watched G.I. Jane, so when I heard that, I went, and then he got slapped. But yeah, we're more mad that they took away this moment from me. This was my moment, and I wanted to cry on stage like Will Smith and have real tears, thug life tears.
Took away from the Williams family. It took away. We should say he has apologized, but where?
A 2022 apology too.
I'm gonna write an apology via Instagram. And that's what love looks like.
Where were you when that happened, and how did it affect you?
I think we had finished the bit, and And I guess I was about to change to get into PJs, but then I was like, oh, because we had just introduced Chris. Regina and I introduced Chris from our bit. So I ran to my trailer because I wanted to watch him. And then, so I was getting changed and watching him. And then from the moment I went from the trailer, because I wanted to be in the house to watch. So from that moment to when I got to the monitor backstage, I just saw Will leaving the stage and everything was quiet. And I'm like, what happened? What happened? Everybody was like, oh my God, oh my God. And then Will just starts cursing, from his seat, keep your wife, my wife's name, whatever. And I just was like, what?
Will Smith was supposed to slap me. Yeah, you got the wrong cue, bro.
What is this really happening? And then someone showed me on a video, it was like, yeah, he smacked Chris. And I just felt so awful for my friend, Chris, and it was sickening. It was absolutely. I physically felt ill, and I'm still a little traumatized by it.
Me too.
I'm also traumatized. Everyone's so excited about being a victim. I'm not traumatized watching it. I don't know about Ellen. I was just like so confused about how everyone was clapping Will to get the award, how everyone was just like, let's just forget this moment and just keep talking. It's amazing how all these actors that are supposed to be taken seriously and they're woke and loving and all these beautiful things, and they're not actually terrible human beings. They're great people. How the show just kept going. It just kept going. Whatever. Who cares? It's not like a man was just assaulted. In fact, Chris Rock is a Nazi, so it's okay to do it because it's okay to punch Nazis in the face. And Nazis are people who say mean things, and I don't know how to argue against it, so I end up slapping them. And that's what they are. Okay.
Yeah, because and for them to let him stay in that room and enjoy the rest of the show,
which was so weird,
and accept his award,
and then cry like a little baby.
I was like, how gross is this? This is just the wrong.
It's encouraging to hear an actual real comedian talk about how just gross it was and just weird, and how everyone like you and me felt uncomfortable watching him accept the speech, but then Hollywood was like clapping and excited, and it was just, God, there's such a dichotomy between them. I don't understand how anyone takes anything Hollywood actors say seriously. After all, they are people that instead of being themselves in life, they take on a whole personality. They're told what to say and do, and they perform. They're not always themselves 24 hours a day.
Message, like you assault somebody, you get escorted out the building, and that's it.
No. You get escorted out the building, and you probably go to jail that night. If I was to do that, if I was to walk up and just slap a comedian in the face, no one is clapping for me and taking an award.
but
if a comedian looks down at me and goes, "You soulless ginger piece of crap," and I go, "Keep my gingerness out of your mouth." Slap.
For them to let him continue, I thought it was gross.
Yeah, I think
and
watching.
Plus, I wanted to be able to run out, after he won and say, unfortunately, Will couldn't be here tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, and you know what? I mean, I know he apologized to Chris, but I believe
via Instagram
that we were the host, right? So we were this is our house. We're inviting you in. We're hosting. We're gonna take care of y'all tonight. Make sure you have a good time. And no one has apologized to us. And we worked really hard to put that show together. So yeah. So I'm like.
That's why I'm
like the industry itself. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, it's not an example to set. You don't
exactly.
You don't let someone do.
Exactly. Comedians are not welcome in Hollywood. It's always been that way, though. The best comedians aren't in movies because they're controversial. They're not afraid to say what they want to say, and they are not held to whatever standard Hollywood puts on in front of them. They don't just agree and follow whatever beliefs are of the day. And that's why all the real comedians aren't celebrated. In fact, I don't know if you watched at the end of the Oscars during the People That Dies video. You didn't see Norm Macdonald and you didn't see Bob Saget, did you? Very curious, isn't it? All right, guys. Actually, I kind of want to see this, but I kind of don't at the same time. All right, let's end on a high note. And I mean real high. The Island Boys aren't done, and they want you to hear their new hit single, 3 Goofballs in a Pool. And it's worth a listen to. The freestyling is incredible. Top 10 best artists of all time. I know I have like Nas and Wu-Tang Clan up there with, best freestyle. Yeah, they're just incredible. Eminem, I guess Eminem could be put in the same category as these guys. They're on a different playing field.
In the pool, but little do they know that we got all this talent, yeah. Tattoos all over our body, yeah. With VVS and on my permanently installed. Hey, they think that I'm a goofball, but I be snapping, do no capping, y'all. I be rapping everything, well, I'm just bow. I'm like, damn okay, when you can see him, he just make stupid sounds. I'm like, damn, you load of rounds, he got too much on the money. He the topic boy, he be risky in the city. Played it with a scary jet, we seen him while he flinching, yeah.
Say it like we get it, y'all, we getting all that money.
They were so good that they decided we need to add another guy who looks identical to this guy, us. And who's this guy? I have no idea. Was he just like such a big fan of the Island Boys that you thought, you know what? These guys are hot. I want to look like them. I want to have blonde hair like them. I want to have tattoos like that. I know I don't have face tattoos yet. I don't have like the little eagle wings on my forehead yet, but I'm going to get that soon. Real soon.
Why they out there crazy, y'all, we pull up, y'all, we dummy. I got some steppers in the back, they coming. Why you out here crazy, that we going stunning, yeah.
They think that we 3 goofballs in the pool, but
3 goofballs in the pool. Some of us just took a little poo.
Little do they know that we got tattoos all over our body, yeah.
We're just 3 goofballs in a pool. Little did they know we have tattoos all over our bodies, yeah. Oh, God, help us all. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys so much for hanging out with me. It's been fun. It's been a long time. I'm glad to be back. YouTube has allowed me to be back after telling me that I'm spreading misinformation out there. And I just said, just take down my video. I don't give a crap. So share this with all your friends and family. Tell them about the Derek O'Shea Show. I appreciate you guys for joining. Killer T-Cell, DEF CON. Guys, I appreciate you guys for having the cojones to get in the chat and chat with me. It means a lot to me. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Again, I'll go live again on Friday, but I'm going to go a little earlier because I have a hot date on Friday night. Skew. So hit me up. Follow me on Instagrams, TikToks, Twitters. Also, make sure you follow me as a backup on Rumble because I don't know how much longer I'm going to be on here. That was my 4th strike. 4. I know I'm not all these like big channels like I got my 1st strike. Oh my God, cry for me. This is on my 4th strike, and I'm not crazy. I'm not a weird channel. I'm not crazy. I don't say insane stuff, which it's weird that I'm on my 4th strike. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get the YouTubes. But hang out with me. Follow me. Friday, going live again. Tell your friends and family. Appreciate you guys. I love you. Have a good night. I'm going to end with a little silly commercial, and then we'll finish. Goodbye.
My fellow Americhans, it's me, Joe Byron. Make sure to support Derek O'Shea by going to buymeacoffee.com/Derek O'Shea. Easily one of my least favorite YouTubers of all time. And all you have to do is go down here, buy him a coffee, support his show, or even join as a member. $3 a month, that's all it costs. And you could be a big time supporter of his show. He's a good guy, but he's a piece of crap, and I hate him for that. I hope you have a great day, and as always, let's go get ice cream, and I need to get my sniff on.